Hey guys, Jesse Coyle here with another video. In this video, I'm going to be watching with you Alex Dowsett's recent vlog from his altitude training camp in Italy, where he went into his day of eating on the bike and breakfast and dinner going into a rest day. So you might be thinking, why am I giving comments on a pro's vlog? But I think I can give some insights into what he's doing and the context of how that's going to work with my experience training some athletes. So I'm going to get into this video. I will pause as we go along and give my comments and insights into the stuff Alex is talking about. So let's get into the video and get started.
This is breakfast. It's you gotta have a bit of protein in there. Worked with the team nutritionists and a guy called Carl in the US on sort of really stripping some weight and doing it the right way, because it's something I've always struggled to lose weight without losing power. It's kind of just an education.
Yeah, I think that seems still to be prevalent at the World Tour level, but even then, it then creeps down into the lower level. So even in the National Road Series here domestically in Australia, there's riders that I've seen, really talented riders that just burn out and quit the sport because they just have taken bad advice, haven't fueled correctly, haven't recovered correctly, and they just end up hating the sport. So it's interesting that Alex has been around the scene for a while, so he's gone through a few different teams, so he would have seen a lot, and he's still learning, even coming into the end of his cycling career. So yeah, interesting to see what he thinks and what his approach is at the moment.
It's surprising how many teams don't help you with this. When I was on Team Sky, I was Neo Pro, so weight was not something that we looked at all. And then Movistar I said I need some help losing some weight. They're like, just eat less, which wasn't really helpful, because I think as motivated cyclists, if someone tells you to eat nothing, we would really take that to the extreme, and that's unfortunately a character trait that we have, which is a good thing but also a very bad thing. I don't know what Movistar are doing now, but certainly when I was there, that was the case. Katusha, zero. It was just all about the racing, and then
So interesting there as well, because I heard in a podcast hearing Chris Harper talk about his experience on Jumbo Visma, and he was saying that it's super detailed. Like, he gets told exactly the macros he needs to eat, what to eat. If he's at a camp or whatever, they have his meals planned out exactly, his recovery drinks planned out exactly. So everything is absolutely to the gram measured. So that's probably one end of the spectrum in more of a science-based team with a bigger budget. And then obviously, even still to the day, there's more of the old school teams that aren't putting as much effort into the nutrition side of things.
Sure, Chanel and I tried to pick up bits from what other people were doing, but it was stuff that worked for them that didn't work for me, like guys that really ran on minimal fueling, looking to go on, work on using fats as a fuel, and training just went out the window if I was doing that, so I would...
So two approaches he's mentioned there. The first approach of just eating less and cutting your calories, which he didn't feel worked for him, and then the other approach, which is eating a higher fat diet, lower carb form of carbohydrate periodization in order to sort of boost your fat burning, which was popular maybe sort of 4 or 5 years ago with the nutritionists and sports scientists that were at sort of the front end of the research, where there was mechanisms coming out suggesting that perhaps, that could be of benefit to increase your fat oxidation. But recently it's sort of been slowly dying a good death, because it's found that, it shuts off your carbohydrate oxidation, which you need for your high intensity exercise. So it is just not really an effective way for, especially a road cyclist, to go about fueling their training and also losing weight. So thankfully that's kind of dying off and the fad is sort of disappearing. And Alex seems like he's got a new approach to fueling his training. But I'm sure that sort of lower carb, higher fat thing is still around in some parts of elite cycling, but definitely less prevalent now than it was maybe 5 years ago.
It's important to get a bit of protein in, so that's a 3-egg omelette. The fruit, and then the main source of carbs are the pancakes. Obviously, like last night's dinner was very high carb.
So looking at this, you've got bread, an omelette, bit of bacon, fruit, coffee. Keep in mind that the pros that are on these, when they're at their camps, they might wake up, breakfast might be from 8 till sort of 8:30, 9 o'clock. Then they might do their rides from 9:30, 10. So they're not doing what we would normally do, which is get up, eat breakfast and go. they've got more time to let these bigger meals digest before they head out for their ride. Because I'm looking at this and thinking, how are you riding in the first hour with all this in your stomach? But yeah, just keep in mind that they have their entire day to do their ride, so they're not shoving it in and heading it out the door.
Yesterday's lunch was very high carb as well. And yeah, then there's also some bread, more carbs. Put honey on the pancakes, more carbs. And then there's on the pancakes. And there's the chocolate croissant. I'm not sure how much nutritional value is in that. Probably not much, but I like it. We're training a lot, and I'm not convinced that I'm able to sort of consume what I am burning on the bike at the moment. So that's chocolate croissant is there just because. And then on bike fueling will be quite high as well.
Hey guys, I'm midway through editing this video, and if you've gotten this far and you're enjoying what you're watching, I would really appreciate it if you can like the video and subscribe so we can help these videos reach more people. Thanks again and enjoy the rest of the video.
I stick to the gels and the drink. Morton 320. If it's warm like it will be today, the odd ISO.
Okay, so he's not using the solids on the bike anymore. He's saying he's moved to gels and to the liquids. So the Morton 320 has 80 grams, that's the drink mix, has 80 grams of carbs per serve, per 600 ml bottle. And then the Morton 100, the gels, they're 25 grams of carbs. So that's what he uses on the bike these days. With that, obviously that takes a bit of getting used to. So some of the riders that are using rice cakes probably aren't used to the feeling of just having gels and liquids in their stomach, so they prefer more of the solid foods. But it is something that if you're going to try, you just need to get used to, because it's a different feeling having that, not having that food sitting in your stomach and coming in throughout the ride. And also the mouthfeel of having gels and liquids coming in. You can get that not very nice feeling on your teeth, so it is good to have some water to wash your mouth out regularly throughout the ride, so you're not constantly having that gel and fluid mix sort of sitting on your teeth, which isn't great for your dental hygiene.
Hey Sarah. Hey Sarah. How do you handle being a vegan on the team?
I don't, I just cop it by everybody. Alex is the worst.
You're a selective vegan?
Yes, I like croissants and chocolate.
No, but you do take it seriously, don't you?
Most of the time, yes.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. That's Seb Berwick there, Australian. I think it's his first year on the team, Neo Pro, and he's a plant-based vegan guy. So good on him. Seems to be working for him. He is performing pretty well in his first year, so it's cool to see. Okay, here we go. So he just grabbed 2 of the Gel 100, Caffeine 100 Morton gels, and then looks like 4 or 5 of the Gel 100s, which are the 25 grams of carbs each.
We are 1.5 hours in. Drunk. Had 1 caffeine gel, 1 bottle of Morton 320.
Okay, so hour and a half in, 1 Morton 320, which is 80 grams of carbs, and a caffeine gel, which is 25 grams of carbs. So he's had 105 grams of carbs in the first hour and a half of riding, which is pretty high. I think most people, when they start their rides, they might not eat for the first 45 minutes to an hour or drink or take anything, but he's sort of really front loading his ride. So he's starting fueling as soon as he's getting into the session, which is interesting.
Start the climb up. 2.5 hours in and still 1 gel, 2 bottles of Morton 320. That's 80, 160, 185 grams of carbs so far, which is fine. Could probably run at 60 an hour at the moment, but it's 80 an hour, and then with the rest day tomorrow, or the rest days, it's when we start winding down the...
So he's saying there, he feels like he could be getting in 60 grams an hour, but he's going for the 80. So he's sort of doing a bit of an over-fueling just to be safe, which I think is a good approach. What's the potential downsides of that? I mean, sure, if your stomach can handle it, I don't really see much of a downside. What potentially this means is he finishes his rides. When he gets off the bike, he's not going to be as hungry, and that might allow him to eat a little bit less later in the day when he's off the bike. So I think a smart approach there, erring on the side of over-fueling than trying to run that just tick the box. So he's trying to just overstep it a little bit, which is good.
the intake, but I want to finish this ride well, so making sure well fueled all the way through. 3.5 hours in, I've only had another 40 grams of carbs in a morning, 160, and starting an ISO drink because it's sweating. But we've been riding up pretty hard. Something I really struggle with is eating or drinking whilst on a climb, riding hard.
All right, so he's saying that he's going up the climb and now he's struggling to keep intaking the Morton, and he switched more to a water or an ISO drink, which is an electrolyte mix. So interesting there. So a couple of things. When he's doing a climb, doing an effort, it's getting hot, so his body's probably slightly overheating, so it's drawing blood. One of the mechanisms to shed heat is to have your blood vessels dilate to bring your blood closer to the skin, which then allows heat to dissipate through the blood. So that also pulls blood away from your stomach and your guts, which slows your digestion down. So he might be feeling, as he's going up the climb and his blood flow is diverting away from his stomach into his extremities to lose heat, that's affecting his digestion and he's not able to absorb those carbs. So he's probably then switching over to the water and the electrolytes as a way of balancing that out. But obviously he still has the fueling requirements. So something... Alex, I think he lives in Andorra and he's obviously from the UK originally, so he might not have that heat acclimation yet. So something he might want to work on as he gets closer to the races that he's planning on doing in the calendar. Ideally he could go and be going up a climb in the heat and just keep taking in the Morton 320 constantly to keep topping up his carbs regularly.
It's quite rare that I get to ride up a climb easy, because it's normally always hard. So yeah, have to get a bit more down me. Pretty guzzle of 320 at the top. Get back on track.
Yeah, so two things there. So he's actually said he's not doing an effort. So if he was actually doing an effort up this climb, it would actually just exacerbate the problem. So it would make it even worse. So the fact that he's not even doing an effort and he's just riding up a climb and is struggling to keep the carbs coming in is a bit of a worry. Something he might, look at his heat acclimation and heat tolerance as well. Then he said that he's going to get to the top of the climb and guzzle a Morton 320, which would be 80 grams of carbs, which is not ideal. If you're just dumping 80 grams of carbs into your system in one go, your body's going to struggle to absorb it, and it's not going to be as good as if you took that 80 grams and sipped it over the course of, let's say, 20, 30 minutes. So again, not much you can do if you're out riding in the heat and you're just not acclimated to it. There's nothing you can change. You just got to sort of deal with it, but something that he might want to work on if he's planning on doing some races in the heat soon.
Heading to lunch, we'll have plenty of protein. In an ideal world, predominantly just the fats and protein lunch, like omelette, avocados, maybe a small amount of carbs, because got a day off tomorrow and we finished a big block. But kind of at the mercy of the restaurant, so I'm not going to get the quantity I need in fat and protein, so we'll just have a small plate of pasta. It probably wouldn't hurt given that how big this block has been anyway. And dinner again, light on carbs. Now if I was training tomorrow, if tomorrow was a proper day, it would be chucking carbs down my neck like there was no tomorrow, but I'm not, so it's time to bring it in.
So interesting there, he's saying for his lunch and dinner he's going to go for the lower carb, higher protein, higher fat option, but he may have to have some pasta with his lunch. So it sounds like to me this is more of a practical approach of reducing his calories, so he may feel like he's more satiated with higher fat, higher protein meal, so he's then eating a smaller portion and just having lower calories, as opposed to if he was saying I'm strictly eating no carbs at lunch and dinner, that would indicate he's doing it more for a sort of like a keto effect or a going into trying to bring up his fat burning. But that doesn't sound like it's the case. It sounds like for him he's just doing this as a way of, this is his preferred way of reducing his calories, given that he doesn't need to be getting in carbs because he's got a rest day tomorrow. So interesting approach that he's taken there towards getting his calories down while still staying satiated.
Bring it in. Basically just like fueling. I'm not doing much tomorrow, so I ain't going to fuel much. Pretty simple really. It's amazing how overcomplicated it can be, but ultimately feed the engine. The last one on nutrition, dinner. It was my last dinner with the team, so I didn't take my camera and film everyone chewing away. But I'll tell you, dinner was high salad, high vegetable, high protein, low carb, cheeky slice of pizza. Yeah, no dessert.
Right, okay, so that sort of affirms it. So he's had a slice of pizza with dinner, which means he's not doing the low carb to get in some sort of fat burning state. It sounds like this is just a practical way for him to reduce his calories by having more vegetables, more salad, and then some fat and protein to keep satiated, and then just keeping the carbs down because he doesn't need them for his ride tomorrow. So that's his approach for dinner.
Decaf coffee for dessert, and then before I go to sleep I'll have a protein drink just to finish things off, and tomorrow I will try and stay on low carb but high protein, high fat. So I hope that's been insightful. There's been a protein bar along the way. We as a team.
Okay, so and then again, so that's interesting. He's had a decaf coffee for dessert, so no dessert. And then he's having a protein shake later at night before bed, and somewhere in there a protein bar as well. So it sounds like he's using the protein shakes and protein bars to sort of get him through, because he's probably getting hungry with the calorie reduction he's using. And then he uses the protein snacks to carry him through till bed, to keep himself feeling full so he doesn't have to lie around and go to bed feeling super hungry. So interesting method he's using there.
Team was sponsored by Morton, who make the gels and the energy drink. Currently they don't make isotonic or recovery or energy bars at the moment. Their energy drink and energy gel is world beating, and Bradman's about to film me filming. Yeah, that was nutrition. Wasn't like super strict, but it's we're still a fair way away from racing, and I'll do another one of these when in that last week or two of really sort of leaning down for a race, which I think my next one will be the Arctic race in Norway, which is something I've always wanted to.
Cool. In the video there, Alex is saying that he might do another vlog when he's getting closer to a race, where he's really trying to cut down the last couple of kilos, which I'd guess will be dying a little bit harder. So interesting video there. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you got something out of this video, and I'll catch you next time.